Concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
I remember how to do all this stuff. Bradshaw with you here. It's Monday afternoon in the capital city. Thanks for spending some time. If you're watching live, I appreciate, as the kids say today. It's a Kardashian thing. You have to like knock the end off of words to be cool. Like, for example, like Kim Kardashian is famed for having Ray J urine on her. See, that would be the cool way of saying that. Has a family ever made more? I mean, I give them credit on that side.
How do you know this stuff?
What?
About Kim Kardashian. I'm just asking.
That's how she got famous. When her sex tape leaked, she was just kind of like a B-lister hanger-on of Paris Hilton's.
Sure.
And then the sex tape magically got leaked. And I got to give them credit. They have managed to turn that into an empire.
Sure.
With the help of, Ryan Seacrest and friends. You got to give credit. They have made more out of less talent, compelling content, you name it, than maybe anyone on this side of Ryan Seacrest. Coming on the show, we'll talk about the VP debate we didn't get to on Friday, but some interesting stuff there, and we're looking forward to tomorrow's presidential debate. And this one ought to be a hoot. Now, did I not call it on Friday that liberals, you would enjoy the VP debate? I called my shot on Thursday. I was right. I'm calling my shot again. Tomorrow will be a lot more fun. If Mitt Romney wants to shake the Etch-a-Sketch, we will shake right along with them. Tomorrow's debate should be a good time. First, though, and I think this news caught everyone off guard. State Senator from Clive, Pat Ward, passed away, 55 years old. I don't think anyone knew exactly how ill she was. She ran the primary against Jeff Mullen, the religious-minded pastor at Point of Grace, and a lot of Democrats crossed over on primary day to vote for her. And I moved out of that district, so I didn't watch it as closely as I would have a couple of years ago. But to the best of my knowledge, that illness didn't enter into the race. But battling breast cancer and passed away today at the age of 55. Now, yes, I understand it's ghoulish, and I understand, but the first response for a lot of people is, okay, what now? And it's relatively simple. Desmond Adams is the Democratic challenger in that district. But state law, when it comes to the death of a candidate, because remember, people have already voted. I don't know what the numbers are in her district, but there's 100,000 absentee ballots out there that have already been turned in. But we have a law that covers this, and basically the votes will still be cast on election day, but the results will be moot. Republicans have about a week after election day to choose their new candidate. And then there will be a special election December 11th just for that state Senate seat. So it'll be Adams versus he automatically passes through versus whoever the Republicans choose. I don't know. It's certainly most likely to be pastor in name only Jeff Mullen. He is an interesting piece of work. But I think there will be some other contenders for that seat. They'll do the convention, I assume. My guess is you'll have at least one other person stand up, maybe want to trade in his House seat for a Senate seat. Much easier re-election schedule. It'll be interesting to see how that convention plays out, especially since it'll probably come before the November election. Well, again, I know we're looking ahead, and it's premature, but people are asking, what happens next. So November's election will be moot. There will be another one in December, and Republicans have till the 13th to nominate a candidate for that race, and there'll be a bit of a fight. So sad news about Pat Ward. I mean, she was a dedicated public servant and wasn't, an extremist or anything like that. She'll be missed. So rest in peace, State Senator Pat Ward. God, that must have been quick. It's just a horrible thing. Bad news to start your day with. But the rest of the world goes on. Thursday night was the vice presidential debate, and since I was, due to circumstances beyond my control, not here on Friday, just a few things to recap, because I got to admit, I get a really big kick out of watching conservatives play the victim card. And remember, this is the Republican Party that loved Newt Gingrich, not so much for his past or his policy or his moon bases or anything like that. I honestly believe that this was about late November, early December. Newt Gingrich was at one time, the non-Romney candidate of choice, who got there, I think, solely for chewing out moderators. That was his shtick in the debates, rather than, kind of take on the rest of the crazy town, though he did get a few good jabs at Mitt. Going after moderators, being the tough guy and calling out, their liberal bias and whatever, played very well with the Republican base. And don't think Mitt Romney didn't know that when he decided to spend the first presidential debate steamrolling Jim Lehrer. Again, I'm not like, oh, God, well, yeah, now you complain about it. I'm not complaining about it. It was a good strategy. It worked, which I think is the definition of a good strategy, right? I don't think I'm going off the reservation here. And the president certainly didn't have any sort of defense for it. The results showed. Politics is a very imitative business. What one person finds success with will generally be copied by others. So we saw a very aggressive Joe Biden on Thursday night. Again, which was the smart play. You had, again, the quote from a pollster whose name escapes me, but basically, if you give Republicans bad news, they want to kill you. If you give Democrats bad news, they want to kill themselves. Which is a pretty good snapshot of where the two parties are these days. So after Mitt Romney, again, won the debate, won it going away, posterized the president. We all played NBA Jam, right? Maybe it was the shoes.
Well, I believe you're on fire.
I believe so, too. NBA Jam, I'm sorry, one of the all-time great teams. And not just because you can play as the Beastie Boys or Bill Clinton. Or in the arcade version, George Clinton. Doubly awesome. It's just an arcade classic, folks. Spent way too much time Remember we had a quick shop over there. It was on 86th. I don't know what's there now. Is it a medical supply place? Over by Tony's Pasta by the Bucket. But that quick shop had an NBA Jam machine. I spent way too much time hanging out there with my Squart. Remember those? No? It's a 90s thing. Probably had pump-up Reeboks at the time, too. Anyway, neither here nor there. No, Romney won big. So it made sense for Joe Biden, who needed to, A, buck up the base, and B, posterize Paul Ryan. And I played you the clips last week of him getting clowned by Fox News. I mean, when you can't handle Chris Wallace. All right, I'm going to toss you this softball. Oh, he broke his nose. All right, you're not so good. Unless there are videos of him getting booed at town hall meetings in his district. Yeah. If Newt Gingrich is what a stupid person thinks a smart person sounds like, Paul Ryan is what a know-nothing thinks a wonk sounds like. And again, I believe Joe Biden made absolutely the correct call. Now, was his performance perfect? No. But he squarely beat Paul Ryan. And by the way, the polls back this up. How bad was it? This is maybe my favorite anecdote of the night. Immediately after the debate, Team Romney sent out a press release to journalists, hacks, pundits, and the like, claiming Paul Ryan wins decisive victory in CNN or CNBC poll. What they left out was that CNBC poll was one of those click as many times as you want web polls that, Channel 8 and the Register do to drive traffic to their websites. It's not a poll. It's an online popularity contest, the kind that the Ron Paul supporters used to flood. Like, literally, you could put anything on a web poll. And as long as Ron Paul was one of the options, they would pass it around their message boards. They would, who was the greatest NBA player of the 20th century? And if you put Ron Paul, he would win. So the Republicans did learn something from the Ron Paul folks after all. I got a kick out of that. Then CBS did their undecided voters poll that not only did Biden won convincingly, 50-31. So it wasn't even really close. Then came the CNN poll. Now this is where, again, you know me, I'm not a poll truther. I'm not an unskewer. But I can read. Now their poll came out, Ryan 48-44 winning. One different. I downloaded the internals, CNN and ORC. I don't know what ORC stands for. But that's their polling firm. And they'll release, it's like a 5-10 page PDF. Because I'm interested in what the underlying questions and things are, not because I skew them, but because it's interesting to know, like, what was the percentage, what was the makeup. Learned this the hard way after the presidential debate. And I showed you the stats on that one, where CNN sample was exclusively white Southerners over the age of 50. And then if you want to pick a group that does not like the president, you would pretty much pick white Southerners over the age of 50. But that was 100% of their sample. Problem? This time, I did the same thing. I downloaded the PDF, and I noticed none of that information was even included in the poll. On CNN's website, special note of caution. The sample of debate watchers in this poll were 31% Democrat, 33% Republican. That indicates that the sample of debate watchers is about 8 points more Republican than the average CNN poll. So the respondents were more Republican than the general public. Right? That's not skewing a poll. That's not truther. That's reading CNN's own admission that this is a bad sample. But that's the one source you can go to that says Ryan won the debate. So you'll see Republicans clinging to that one. Even bigger, though, is the fact that no matter which way you believe the debate went, no matter which candidate you thought won, if you think Joe Biden won, it's because of Joe Biden. If you think Joe Biden lost, it's because of Joe Biden. I think Paul Ryan was exposed for the empty suit that he is. Give us specifics on. Give us your... It had nothing. The talk time over a 90-minute debate was within 1 minute of each other, so you can't blame bias there. Although the same Paul Ryan camp that earlier in the day said, we have no problems with Martha Raddatz as the moderator. Somehow after the debate had problems with Martha Raddatz, the moderator. Again, if you're arguing tone, it's because you're losing. I understand this because I'm a Democrat who watched the first presidential debate. Paul Ryan's not ready for prime time. And the same thing I said when they picked him. Paul Ryan was kind of a nobody senator from Wisconsin. Ayn Rand devotee. Had a decent story. Again, if you take a step back from, his father died at a young age and got his way through school, yes, collecting Social Security survivors benefits, but we'll leave that part out because he's a Ayn Rand fan. And it wasn't until he became the architect of the Paul Ryan budget, or as Newt Gingrich called it before he had to walk back those comments, right-wing social engineering. It's, the heart turns Medicare into a voucher program. The rest is kind of hocus pocus and cut taxes for rich people. When this sort of became the cause, and again, I don't necessarily understand why. I mean, really, the last firewall for Republicans, not including the South, because, they wanted to be their own nation, and maybe we should have let them, is all I'm saying, are older, more conservative people. And they are really big fans of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the like. And Paul Ryan already had the ding of being a big supporter of privatizing Social Security during the Bush years. But when he came out and said, I want to turn Medicare into a voucher program, I'm going to give you health stamps to go out and buy your own insurance policy. Because Lord knows, if there's one thing, when I've never been to a board meeting at Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'm guessing that when they sit around those big tables, discuss, policy and strategery and the like, number one thing on their goal, we want more old sick people on our rolls. That is a great way to ensure profitability. But that's neither here nor there. Paul Ryan wants to turn Medicare into health stamps instead of the program that seniors know and love and want to keep. Because, again, this was the fundamental mistake that supporters of the Paul Ryan budget did, because they were very loud and very proud to, it will not affect current Medicare, which isn't necessarily true because it makes major cuts to Medicaid. That's where things like your nursing home coverage come from, long-term care. But that's neither here nor there. The headline, Americans care about details. Pfft. If it don't fit in an 8-second soundbite, it's too complicated for us. All right, I want something I can put on a bumper sticker, preferably one of those small ones, maybe a car magnet, something round. Anyway, but Paul Ryan became the poster boy for this. And I still don't quite figure out, because seniors really don't like the plan. And here's where Republicans made their mistake. You can run around saying it won't affect anyone, age 55 and older. If you're 54, screw you. They ran this plan out, and they would talk to seniors groups. And funny thing happened. Seniors so like their Medicare that they want their kids to have it, that they want their grandkids to have it. that maybe if this future program, this health stamps you want to give out, if it's so good, why are you so insistent on telling seniors they don't have to worry about it? Instead of, FYIGM, it's F them, I got mine. And that didn't go over well with seniors. And especially when you look at Romney's numbers among the elderly. Paul Ryan has been a drag. But he wasn't there to attract seniors. He was there to attract that hard right wing who kind of saw him as a poster boy. Now, yes, elections don't sway on the vice presidential debate, but at least it is a good firewall. Because I think a lot of what you saw in Romney's poll numbers shooting through the roof post-presidential debate was increased Republican enthusiasm. I mean, yes, the challenger, always gains when debating an incumbent president for the first time, if for no other reason than if you can go on stage, control your bodily functions, not swear, not say anything overly racist, you will get a bump, if only because you seem presidential. You're on the stage sharing it with the president. You are, by default, presidential. So you're going to see that bump. But I think where you saw the real uptick in Romney's poll numbers, where he became a viable alternative after a couple months of really not being able to do anything without putting a foot in his mouth. I mean, whether it's going over, for the Olympics where he had a dancing horse and insulting, Britain. Oops. And then the 47% comments. Because that's the sort of thing, it's really hard to walk that back. And I know Romney's tried. But you get the impression that Romney absolutely 100% cares about 100% of the people, 100% of the time he's on camera and can be seen. The beauty of the 47% tape was, well, he thought he was just talking to the club. Just talking to his friends, just talking to the like-minded. And that, doesn't he seem a lot more comfortable there than he does typically on a stage? And I'm not, not the, hello, I'm surrounded by black people. Who let the dog us out? Ha, 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 woo, woo. Yes, that actually happened. Google it. Something about hanging out with rich donors. A lot more at ease, a lot more freewheeling. A lot more likely to tell you what he really thinks. And the phone number is 244-0077. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw for almost all of your Bradshaw needs. I'm curious what you guys thought of the VP debate. Because I think it is a definite show of what we're going to see from the president on Tuesday, tomorrow night in New York. I think it is going to be an absolutely different debate. Because at some point, you have to hold Romney down. Here's a guy who ran all summer as a hard-right ideologue, and all of a sudden back, oh, I'm on TV? Hi, I'm moderate Mitt Romney. How are you doing? And whether it's saying that, oh, my plan covers pre-existing conditions. But again, you say that on TV with 60 million people watching. And then after the debate, you have your spokesperson say, actually, no, okay, we admit it doesn't cover pre-existing conditions, but states will be free to implement that in their own, Liberty laboratories. Oh, we're sorry, Mitt Romney said on TV in front of 60 million people that half the president's, green jobs initiatives failed. Actually, 3 of them did, but we're sorry. You can print the retraction. I'm sure there's some space open on page 14 of the newspaper. That sort of stuff. The president's got to get better. I mean, if I can call this stuff out, and it was a facepalm of a debate. The president can too. And he needs to do it forcefully. And yes, you need to posterize Mitt Romney. You're the president of the United States. And he has some built-in advantages, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Not just being the president, not just having an army of drones or having, hi, this is Osama bin Laden. See, he's dead now. You're welcome. There's some built-in advantages beyond that. We'll get to right after this here on the Bradshaw Show on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. Back after this.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's time to start.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. Bradshaw with you here Monday afternoon. Thanks for spending some time. Or if you're watching via the archives, I'm okay with that too. So whenever you're watching this, wherever, I appreciate a bit of time that we can come and talk. Second presidential debate tomorrow night, New York. Same bad time, same bad channel, different bat format. This case, Candy Crowley is the moderator. Again, like most senior political correspondent, sort of an establishment-seeking missile or a very serious person, as they are called today. But the style will be different. In this case, a town hall. Dixie tweets at Radio Bradshaw. How will the town hall style of debate change how Obama conducts himself this round? It remains to be seen how Obama... Does he come out... he can't go the full Biden. I don't think you'll see him laughing at Paul Ryan or at Mitt Romney. You can't tell the difference. Both empty suit. But I think you'll see a more aggressive Obama. And frankly, I don't think this is a place where Mitt Romney shines. Now, you put him in a room full of people who also have car elevators, and I think something will be working there. In this format, certainly favors the president. But again, he needs to use the arsenal of tools that is available to him. A couple weeks ago, talked about how Team Obama came to a fork in the road when Romney won the nomination. Is he going to run as multiple choice Mitt, or is he going to run as a guy who is absolutely scared to death of the far right base of the party for fear that they will stay home on Election Day and he will have to consciously and constantly pander to them? They chose correctly, by the way, and Mitt Romney has been an excellent panderer until that first debate. I think Mitt Romney learned a very valuable message, and that is people don't really care what I say. I'm not Obama, and I will have a base of support. I think it's fair to say, I mean, short of coming out and directly throwing conservatives under the bus, and even then, they'll tolerate, a bit of smacking around. Their dislike of the president. And again, this is, 4 years of communist, Nazi, socialist, Kenyan, usurper, radical Muslim, Kenyan anti-colonialist. That hatred burns white hot. And frankly, running as a far-right wacko wasn't working. He wasn't making the sale. For all the people confused about Romney's past and Romney's campaign, understand, it fits when you see him as a sales guy. I've worked around, all sorts of sales staffs. And there's a difference between a salesperson and I'm a sales guy. You know what I'm saying? You get the difference? Like, there are very nice people that are in sales, but every sales department has the sales guy. Romney's the sales guy. What do I need to say to close this deal? What do I need to say? What do I need to promise? What do I need to do? Someone else can worry about the deliverables. What do I need to do right now to get your name on the dotted line? And we've seen that in the past couple of weeks. Maybe the biggest example came from right here in Iowa. His last trip to Des Moines sat down with the Register's editorial board and said, "There's no legislation with regards to abortion that I'm familiar with that would become part of my agenda." Who are you, and what are you doing wearing Mitt Romney's suit? His own website says that he will appoint Supreme Court justices who will overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, I guess we could, on a technicality, say that's not legislation. Fine. He wants to end all funding for Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood, get rid of that. So that would take legislation. In June 2011, he supported the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. And Romney said he would be delighted to sign a bill banning all abortions in his first presidential run. So I did get a kick out of him saying that the day after, again, Christianist himself, Steve Deace, came out and said, "I'm on board. I love Mitt Romney. He's a conservative." Then that comes out, which I got a kick out of. But then again, as someone who kind of keeps an eye on the religious right, the response to that was fascinating. Because after Romney made his abortion remarks, and again, it wasn't even 2 hours later before Andrea Saul's campaign spokesperson came out to said, "Yeah, ignore that comment that runs, in the Register's headline. What we really mean is this." But it was funny, after those comments, immediately the first people that reporters go to are people like, Tony Perkins, who said, "No alarm bells here. I've got no problem with this." The Susan B. Anthony list, it's a hiccup. It's funny how these far right, and again, if you have family in the name, it means you don't like gays and probably don't like choice, and that's neither here nor there. But even when Romney specifically, what are you talking about, abortion extremists? I mean, he was one step short of admitting the truth. I used to donate money to Planned Parenthood. What's the big deal? But it's funny how the far-right groups, no problem here. Now, some would say, again, it's just kind of a convenient easing of standards. I think it's even simpler than that. If you want more inspiration on why I believe that, well, look at Bob Vanderplatz in the Iowa Family Policy Center. Now the family leader. Before it came to light and was actually reported on, the number one source of income for the Iowa Family Policy Center was the federal government. This was part of President Bush's faith-based initiatives. And, well, the program went as, okay, here is a bunch of money. We want to promote marriage. So we are going to give this money to the Iowa Family Policy Center, which is what it was called at the time before Vanderplatz came on, to distribute to outside groups. Now, Chuck Hurley is a smart guy, decided to create Marriage Matters, which is an outside group. Sure. Now, forget that, their address was the Iowa Family Policy Centers and that Marriage Matters was nothing more than a service mark, a trademark owned by them. We're just going to take money from one hand and put it in our other hand and see, we're good. And because we're a faith-based group, the government will never come after us because if they ever did, even no matter how shady our dealings, that would be a great fundraising tool for us. It's the money, stupid. Follow the money. You don't think Mitt Romney would open up the coffers once again to the Chuck Hurleys and the Tony Perkinses and give them, a seat at the table, give them a spot in the trough? No one, of course they're going to support Romney. Romney could abort a live baby on TV and they'd still be okay with it. Because he's sopping to them. He's pandering to them, and he will open up the government money faucets to them. Again, if you got to bend a little on ideology, bend right over. It's like what Billy Graham did this weekend. Now, Billy Graham is a little old, and a lot of it, and my guess is that his son Franklin was behind this one. But Billy Graham has officially endorsed Mitt Romney for president. Which, again, isn't that surprising? What's odd is that before this announcement, Billy Graham's website considered Mormonism a cult. It's pretty straightforward, right? So the cult is any group which teaches doctrines or beliefs that deviate from the biblical message of the Christian faith. I don't know if that's the dictionary definition, but we'll let Billy Graham do his thing. Some of these groups are Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, the Unification Church, Unitarian, Spiritist, Scientologists, and others. So according to Billy Graham, Mormonism is a cult. Again, not that strange of an occurrence. You hear that sort of thing on the religious right. Those pages have been scrubbed miraculously. You don't think so, Dan?
That they've been scrubbed? I believe they've been scrubbed. I just think it's silly that they got scrubbed.
Why?
It's inconsistent. He's in a cult.
Well, can you believe that he's in a cult and still endorse him?
You know my feelings on that.
Well, I know you're.
I mean, I'm not undecided. I'm decidedly not.
What's the polite way of it? But you run in those circles.
Sure. I just spent time.
Do you think anyone's going to call out Billy Graham for?
Oh,
I
think
more likely his son Franklin is calling the shots.
I think people will call him out, but I don't think anybody that has the
you think
the gumph
But you think any of his
Yes.
followers, any people, who show up and donate money and show up at the
I'm
Billy
not
Graham
sure.
revivals, will care?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's really it's a divided circle right now. I mean, a lot of Christians are really actually trying to preach for Obama, and it's.
I think it goes right down the memory hole. I think we have always been at war with East Asia.
So
I'm guessing that the followers, we've always liked Mormons. They're so nice and clean and articulate.
I mean, that was the thing. It's funny. A lot of people go, well, I 4 years ago when he didn't win, and I was actually more for him 4 years ago before I really knew about him. Everybody was, he'd make a great neighbor, but I don't want him as a president. They're nice people, but I don't.
No, he's always rebuilding his house and putting in a car elevator. He'd be a horrible neighbor. Think of all the contractors that would
Which
be over there.
house?
Well, that's true. I guess depending on the house, he wasn't working on at any given time. So you have like a 1 in 8 shot.
And I mean, if you need a car elevator, you need a car elevator. I don't know why you begrudge the man his car elevator.
I have to admit, everyone in America laughed when Mitt Romney was called a car guy during the vice presidential debate. And I don't know how many car elevator jokes showed up in my Twitter timeline, but
Does he own a bunch of cars?
well, yeah, his wife drives 2 Cadillacs. That's what Mitt said. But owning a car elevator, I'm sorry, you're not a car guy.
No, you own an elevator that
You're an elevator guy. And he's a big,
likes to move big things.
Yeah, next time he's in Iowa, I'll take him down to the lift. It'll be a good time.
There you go.
But I get a kick out of that from the evangelical side. But that was just on the abortion question. Because he spends years. Got to get rid of Planned Parenthood. I'd love to sign legislation. Then magically, what are you talking about? But the Daces and the Tony Perkinses and the like, the Billy Grahams, are more than happy to look the other way on that one. He also told the Register's editorial board, we want to reduce the burden on middle-income taxpayers, and we're not going to provide a tax break to high-income taxpayers. Now, this was not what he was saying during the Republican debates. And, in fact, do you have the video from Fox News? This is this weekend. He's been touting his 6 studies that say you can do this, that we can lower everyone's tax rate by 20%. We're going to knock 20% off of all the top tax rate, or all the marginal tax rates.
And a lot of special interest loopholes that...
Did we lose?
To bring down the rate 20%. 6 different studies have said this is entirely doable.
Very questionable. Some of them are blogs. Some of them are from the AEI, which is hardly an independent group. Those are not.
These are very credible sources, and
one of them is from a guy who is a blog from a guy who was a top advisor to George W. Bush. These are hardly nonpartisan studies.
Well, Chris, these I think if you look at and AEI and other studies are very credible sources for economic analysis.
You wouldn't say that AEI is a conservative think tank?
I would say that it is a right-leaning think tank. That doesn't make it not credible.
Now just play the audio then.
It does make it nonpartisan. It is not a partisan organization. I can tell you there have been many instances where there have been things that AEI has come out with and said that I didn't find to be necessarily helpful to the Republican Party. And I do not believe they act in the interest of the Republican Party. Would you say the
Brookings Institution is nonpartisan?
I would say the Brookings Institution is left-leaning and that they are nonpartisan.
All right, long story short, Chris Matthews, they can't even get that claim past Fox News. Even Fox News goes, what?
I'd like to see how they could take 20% from all taxpayers.
You can't do it. The Ryan Romney claim is that, through just closing tax loopholes for the rich, we will make this work. The math doesn't work. And it's not just Democrats saying it. Mark Zandi, he works at Moody's, and he is a McCain advisor, said that Romney's idea of cutting taxes 20% across the board and making up the difference, closing tax loopholes, quote, doesn't add up. Said the Tax Policy Center is the definitive study. They're nonpartisan. They're very good. They say, given the numbers that they've been provided by the Romney campaign, no, it will not add up. Now the Romney campaign could adjust their plan. They could say, okay, I'm not going to lower tax rate as much as I'm saying right now. They could make the arithmetic work. But under the current plan, with the current numbers, it doesn't. I think it's important that we do focus on the so-called tax expenditures in the tax code. Those are deductions, credits, and loopholes in the code. We need to reduce those because we're going to make the tax system fair, easier to understand, and ultimately lead to stronger growth. So that's the right place to focus. But no, the arithmetic doesn't work as it is right now. Now, again, I don't think there's any scientific basis for why 20% needs to come off the top. But that's the number that the Romney campaign's chosen. It's a nice round number, makes everyone feel happy, I guess. And it's probably, better PR than trying to cut like 3/5, because that has some negative connotations. The math doesn't work unless you, A, start gutting every, tax loophole or tax expenditure, if that's what you want to call it. It's probably a better term for it. For the middle and lower class, do you want to get rid of the home mortgage interest deduction? Do you want to get rid of, child tax credits? Then you can come closer to making it work. But it's simply, there aren't enough tax loopholes for the very rich to cover a $5 trillion hole you're going to blow in the budget. Now, does anyone think, by the way, that if Romney were to win the election, let's say Republicans take back the House and the Senate, that they wouldn't immediately try to get that 20% across the board cut first thing? And there's a reason Romney won't mention which deductions he would, cut. It's because, one, there aren't enough. B, the math doesn't work. And C, to do it, he would have to actually, go after the middle class, go after the lower class, and raise their taxes. That's the only way to even make the math come close to working, to be even in the same ballpark as the $5 trillion hole you want to blow in. But at the end of the day, and this is the point I make with Chuck Grassley, who magically in 2009 started worrying about the debt and the deficit, is they don't care about the debt and the deficit. They've never governed like that. Even when George Bush was popular, they didn't govern like that. In fact, you go back long enough, say the year 2000, and conservatives were worried we were paying down the debt too fast. We had, too small of a deficit. We can't run a surplus. That might allow us to pay off our debt. Now, again, this was the stuff that was in the Wall Street Journal and Forbes. This wasn't just the, dear Mr. President, I believe we have too many states. Please eliminate 3 of them. P.S. I'm not a crackpot territory. This was established conservative thought. We'll use that term loosely. They were scared to death that we would actually pay off the debt because it's hard to starve the beast without it. If you're not familiar with the starve the beast mentality or the drown it in a bathtub corollary from Grover Norquist, understand that's the goal. And never let a good crisis go to waste. Why do you think conservatives are so set on a grand bargain that cuts Medicare, cuts Medicaid, cuts Social Security, and at the same time, huge tax cuts? Their goal is to turn this nation into a, low cost, low service, a national red state. Except that's a really unpopular idea. It doesn't really work. Not electorally. So you have to find some way to back yourself into that corner, and all very serious people just agree we just have to cut everything. Except, defense spending, road projects and things like that we care about. Everything else must be cut. It's just, sorry, we have to do it. We're the very serious people, and that's the only way we can make it work. That's the drown it in a bathtub mentality. That's the starve the beast mentality, and that ultimately is what the GOP is about. You think Chuck Grassley will be affected by any cuts made to services? So why should he care about defending them? Think Chuck Grassley even understands what a middle-class lifestyle is these days? All he knows is that his preference would be for taxes for rich people to go down. What do I need to do that? I'd also like to get as much money for my state, for my re-election purposes, as possible. So if I got to bring a Rainforest Central Iowa, I'll bring a Rainforest Central Iowa. I want big pharma money and insurance money. I got an idea. I'm going to make Medicare Part D intentionally more expensive by removing the government's ability to use its buying power the same way, Walmart does, to bring down drug prices. And now I'm going to care about the debt and deficit. See how this game works? In fact, Grassley came out just today talking to Radio Iowa. And again, spoiler alert, unlike Moody's and even Fox News, now Chuck Grassley out and said, but the math behind Romney's plan works. I don't know what you're talking about. With the goal of getting Romney elected, passing the tax cuts. We'll worry about the loophole closing later. And, well, if we never get to that, I guess that isn't much of a problem. You balloon the debt, you balloon the deficit, and now as a very serious person, well, we're just going to have to cut services. We're just going to have to cut social programs. We just have to. Sorry. Couldn't have seen this one coming. Don't know how it happened, but now that we're here, we just have to deal with it. Isn't that what happened during the Bush years? And they claim, tax cuts lead to growth. But where was the job growth during the Bush years? Where was it? Like, it's an entire decade of almost no job creation, even before the Great Recession hit. That's the reality of it. We've been playing trickle-down now for 30 years. At what point does it start to trickle? At what point does it get down to us? I'm sure some point. The math simply doesn't work, and the president needs to make that clear in the debate. And when Romney, it's not a $5 trillion bill. Well, what is that? What is the bill? And how do you pay for it? Why won't you give people details? Should we just trust you? We covered the pre-existing conditions are covered under my plan, which, after the debate, the Romney campaign said, not true. Said you have to have regulation during the first presidential debate, discussing Dodd-Frank. He said, there are some parts of Dodd-Frank that make all the sense in the world. Well, why on the campaign trail has he been saying that he would repeal it entirely? Again, if I know these things, I'm sure someone on the president's team does. And I understand being caught off guard when multiple choice Mitt Romney made his re-debut at the debate. And it is a failure of the president and the president's team to not plan for that. And not have, that card in the deck. Well, I don't think they'll make the same mistake twice. And I think we learned a few things from the vice presidential debate. And again, there are ways to pull off the same strategery without, yes, laughing. Although, to be fair, very easy way not to be laughed at, Congressman Ryan, is to not say laughable things. Just a novel concept I've learned through the years. All right, 244-0077. All are welcome. Some are capable. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Just go to thebradshawshow.com for all of your Bradshaw needs. We'll be back right after this for a couple minutes here on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's time to start.
All right, 2:28. And a little bit of time left. Bradshaw with you here on Monday afternoon. And the big news today, Pat Ward passed on. My old state senator from my time living in Stately Bradshaw Manor in Clive. Passed away, losing a fight with breast cancer at the age of 55. For those who are wondering, next month's election in that district, like since votes are already cast, gets tossed out. There will be a nominating convention in that district. They'll have a name by the 13th. And then on December 11th, there will be a special election to fill Pat Ward's Senate seat. Desmond Adams, the Democratic nominee, goes through to that one, and Republicans will find a Republican to step through. Yes, I understand it's ghoulish, but people ask, and details are out there, so passing them on. But rest in peace, Representative Ward. Again, not one of the crazy ones. A lot of Democrats crossed over on primary day to keep Jeff Mullen out of that seat. Sharing emails real quick. Can you explain why there's such a hatred of President Obama among the right wing? I can understand not liking his policies, but they seem to really hate the man. I don't have time to... I'll get into this. I'm going to fill in with Ed Fallon tomorrow, starting at noon. So a lot of broadcasting tomorrow. Long story short, it doesn't matter what Democrat is in the White House. When a Democrat is in... again, people forget, Republicans love to, but Bill Clinton was so good, and we liked Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton was popular, and we get along with Bill Clinton, and we love working with Bill Clinton. During the 90s, they hated Bill Clinton. They called him a murderer. They called him a rapist. They called him a drug dealer. They still make blue jet dress jokes. They loathed the man for committing one unpardonable sin, and that is beating them twice. Just watch. After Obama wins in November, my guess is sometime during those 4 years, we will see, if not just the rumblings of impeachment, we may see an actual one. Yet, those who don't learn from history. But even to follow up on that, Obama leaves office in 2016. I'm guessing within 10 years. Again, Obama will have been great. They loved him and his centrist ideas, and they can't believe that most extreme liberal person that they have in now. Just watch. The historical revisionism will kick in. I mean, yeah, they're obviously going to use what avenues are available to them. Obama looks different. He has a different sounding name. Kind of a Muslim-sounding name. We'll go with that in the areas where we think that is popular. No matter how bipartisan it is, we're going to call him an extremist. I mean, it's the everything and the kitchen sink approach. It was the exact same thing they did in the Clinton years during the 90s, and it's the exact same thing they'll do to the next guy until it doesn't work. Then they'll find some new strategery. Again, there's nothing new under the sun. So go back and read some Ann Coulter or some Town Hall or any of those right-wing rags that were around in the 90s. In fact, some of the Obama stuff is tame compared to that. And a book I always recommend. It is a great look at some of the who, what, when, where, why, and how. It's a book called Blinded by the Right that David Brock wrote, because he used to be one of those right-wing attack dogs. He used to party with Ann Coulter and Laura Ingraham. He would write scathing pieces about left-wingers. He was, his claim to fame was attacking Anita Hill during the Clarence Thomas hearings. He was the one who coined the phrase, a little bit nutty, a little bit slutty, that the right wing ran with. Then he had a bit of a change of heart. How severe a change? He started Media Matters, the most hated website by the right wing ever. Why? Because they record their words and play them back for everyone. But it's called Blinded by the Right. I don't even know if it's still in print, but I'm sure there's a way to find a copy. But if you want a good look at some of the folks that, even to this day, look at Dinesh D'Souza, are still making news. But kind of where they came from, how they came to be, it's a really great book that I need to dig my copy out of a box somewhere and give it a read again. Anyway, I got to scoot. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. And I will be back tomorrow at noon. As part of the Fallon Forum, Ed and I will have, I'm sure, no shortage of things to talk about. And then your own kind of debate prep boot camp tomorrow during my show. 1:30 Monday through Friday right here on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.